Hey everyone, so for my John Maxwell today, I'm looking at women in the Bible. It's one of his books, and it's not a book that we teach on. Again, I'm not focusing on the books that we actually facilitate for, because there are certain rules around that, and there are certain ways that we have to do it. So I'm just sharing with you what I'm reading, and hopefully it inspires you to pick up the books and to read them yourself and to see what you get out from them. But today's scripture, it's looking at Miriam, and the message is basically, don't let comparison rob you of your joy. So in any organization, especially if you're working in the corporate world, there's a lot of comparison. And the people who win are the ones who get the best scores. But no, my fridge keeps beeping. And that can create a problem. It can create a situation where not all the team members feel valued, because it's obviously the ones who are getting the best scores that are going to win Employee of the Month or whatever it is. And I've been fortunate. I've had good managers who know how to tap into my potential and to bring out the best in me, because wherever I've worked, I've always done well. But there has to be a balance. So what corporations do in North America is they have days where we have employee appreciation days, where everybody gets recognized, or we have team lunches for everybody. That way people don't get to feel left out, they don't get to feel excluded. And when we look at the story of Miriam, it's basically he's looking at the story of where she complains because God had appointed 3 people to lead his people: Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. And then when Moses marries outside of the Jewish line, she's not happy about it, and she complains about that, and then she gets leprosy. She ends up getting sick. But despite that, her brothers love her, and Aaron pleads with the Lord to heal her, and she does get healed. It's the disease is lessened. So the punishment, they're saying, is equivalent of if her father had spat on her. She's not like totally sent out to live alone. And in those days, people with leprosy were not accepted into the community. So if we compare ourselves to others, there's always going to be people who are more talented than us. There's people who are less talented than us. We won't get anywhere in life if we keep comparing ourselves to others. And just because we are capable in an area doesn't mean we are called in an area. So for me, my calling is being a spiritual director. Sometimes that leads to conflict in the workplace, because I'm standing up for what I value. Other people are standing up for what they value. And in a multicultural society, it can lead to conflict, but I have to stay strong in who I am. I have to stay strong in my Christian faith, because they have their own beliefs. They have their own systems. And for us in the workplace, we're looking to find that balance, to balance our team so that people don't land up being treated unfairly. Comparison can damage our relationships with others. And we have to keep focused on the Lord. We have to keep focused on what is God's calling on our lives, what is God's calling on our leadership abilities. And for Miriam, in this book, he's written it from the point of view of what she's saying. But you can read the Bible story and you can see what was actually in there. It's a good thing to think about, because although 3 of them were called to lead, only Moses went up to the tent of meeting to meet with the Lord on the mountain and bring down the 10 commandments. So he got separated from them because now it's not 3 of them doing it together, it's just Moses. And John Maxwell is saying that it was because she was comparing that this came about. And you have to read the story yourself and see what it is. But there's also this thing about if you marry outside of your culture, it can lead to problems. So maybe her intentions were good. Maybe she actually meant, because she was concerned about her brother. But that was God's calling on his life. So the effect of her worry or criticism or whatever it is the result was God's punishment on her life. And when we do our exam and when we look at our daily life, that's one of the things we call to do, to examine what it is that we are doing with our leadership, with our lives, and also to be happy for others when they move into positions of authority, of power. There's many people I've left behind that have gone on to be directors in companies, supervisors. They moved into different positions compared to me. So I wasn't selected for those positions. And I just accept it and I move on because there's no point fighting it. There's no point saying, well, you know what, I've been here with you for so long and you still don't give me the opportunity. Because they're going to do what they want anyway. And I keep an open spirit because for me, even if they say to me, we're deporting you, we're sending you back to Zimbabwe, I'll be like, that's fine. Because wherever we are, we start off with nothing. I started off with nothing in England. I started off with nothing here. I can start off with nothing, but I can take my talents with me and I can use them in another organization, in another place, in another situation where my gifts and talents are needed. And I think that's one of the things that's important to me. We can also cultivate an attitude of gratitude. So we can be grateful for the opportunities we do have, the opportunities God has given us, and to know when it's time to move on. When it's time to say, okay, I did this and I learned these skills there, and now it's time to move on. Because the reality is that our bodies also give up. I might have loved being a customer service agent, but now I have problems with my ears, I have high blood pressure, I have a lot of things that will prevent me from going back into that high pressure kind of role. So I'm trying to find the right job for me, where God can use my skills and my talents, and I can lead in a different way. Because I was in a leadership role there, I was in management. Unfortunately, my health suffered, so I have to move on and look for something else. So we recognize that leadership is a privilege and a trust, and leadership is something that's given to us. We are not all equal. So Aaron and Miriam, their journey continues and their name is remembered till this day because they led people and they helped people and they kept God at the center of their lives. The places they are buried are mentioned, where they went, what they did. And Miriam continued to lead. She led the women in dance after their victories in the war. She continued to lead. So we have to keep that continuity in our journeys, to know that because we're moving into different areas of giftedness, it doesn't mean that everything in the past that we did is not valued. And he gives some questions to reflect on what God-given skill or ability do you possess that you take for granted? How can you better use it to serve others and glorify God? And I think that's a good thing to do, to reflect on our gifts, our talents. Even when we're going through difficulties, we all have gifts and talents. So for me, when I left Zimbabwe, when my mother was packing up, she posted all my tools for me to continue doing my baking. Because we all three of us, my mother, my sister, and I, all went for courses on working with fondant and making those sugar flowers. And we learned all the flowers, roses, rose drops, lilies, daisies. We learned all of them. But those tools got lost in the mail. And over here, people go and they buy their cakes. They don't necessarily make them. So it's not like it would be that useful. But one of the things that I do, I still make my cakes. I still ice them. So I would like to get back into that over time. I don't have to do it for others. I can do it for myself. And I'm going to buy the tools. I'm going to buy what I need. And then when I bake a cake or something, I can make some nice flowers and put them on the top. And when we were growing up, my mother used to also bake our cakes for our birthdays, for Christmas, for all the occasions. And that's something that I do. I do bake, and I do continue to do that. And it's a nice tool to have. It's a nice way to use your creative skills if you're interested in that. Not everybody is interested in baking and cooking. Some people prefer to buy their food. They buy it and then they just eat takeouts. So that's up to them. But I like to cook. I like to bake. I like to use my creative skills. We used to arrange the flowers in the church. So I don't arrange the flowers in the church. They have someone to do that. But I buy flowers and I arrange them in my home. And I put them near my dad's photo and Elvis Presley's photo. So that's a nice way for me to continue what I did in Zimbabwe. Because obviously I can't go and visit my father's grave. I can't clean it. I can't go and pay my respects at his final resting place. I can't go to my dad's grave. But I do it here in my home. And I buy the flowers, I decorate, I put some flowers near his picture. So those are all ways we can use our leadership skills and what interests us, our creative talents in our home. And even with the tennis, I support our Canadian tennis players. I go, I watch them. If I have the money to buy a ticket, I'll go and I'll spend a day out at the grounds here, the tennis grounds. And it's a nice thing for me to do because I didn't watch tennis for many, many years. I was only focused on my job search and studying. And that's all I did. So it's a nice thing for me to get back into the sports, to watch the diving, to watch different summer sports. And that's what I like to do. That's what I enjoy doing. So all of those things can be ways to use our leadership skills and then to move on. Like if there's nothing available in a certain place for us to use our skills, then we move on and we look for other things. We look for other ways to use our skills, our talents, and also to learn. There's a lot of opportunities coming up now with AI and doing research to help the companies or the programming. There's new opportunities coming up, but we have to be open to those opportunities and working with different leaders and to take our skills and our talents and to move into new organizations. Or even if we go back to organizations we worked for in the past, because here there's very few, like financial institutions are limited. You have 5 big banks and that's it. You have limited insurance companies. And so people tend to move around and go back to the same companies over and over. And hopefully you'll end up getting something stable and permanent. But that's not what works out for many of us. For many of us, we take contracts, whether it's in the healthcare system or banking or education, because they don't create a lot of permanent jobs in Canada. And what President Trump was saying in his speech is true. Like if people are coming into a country like the Somalis and they finding that they're committing fraud and they're buying luxury cars and driving those cars, and other people are working hard and they can't afford even one luxury car, then yes, they should be sent back to where they came from. Because whether it's America or Canada, people like me come in, we work hard, and we don't get the breaks. We can't afford even one luxury home or one luxury car. So that's why I'm supporting what he's doing. Because if people want that American dream, and you want to work hard and you want to do well, then you should do things the right way. So I listened to his speech and I'm supporting everything he's doing. It's good. It's good. That's what I'm saying. It's good. And like even my grandfather brought me up, my Papa Ama. He always used to say to us, this is not our country in Zimbabwe. And I used to say to him, yeah, but it's my country. I'm born here. He said, yeah, you're born here, but this is not our country. This country belongs to the black people. And I used to get very upset. I used to say, no, this is my country. I'm born here. This is my country. I'm not going anywhere. And he used to just laugh. He used to say, no, but we came here from India. So if they kick us out, we'd have to be prepared to go back to India. And I used to say, no, I'm not going. And that's why I used to love Mr. Mugabe. I used to love him because he used to come to the shop, he used to talk to us, and he came out of prison, but he was very friendly. He never made you feel frightened of him, unlike some of the other black leaders. And he strived for integration until they didn't honor that Lancaster Agreement after the willing buyer, willing seller policy for the farms. And then after that, everything changed. But even if you listen to his speeches, if you listen to how he talked about climate change and how nations should be independent and people shouldn't interfere in the governance of those nations, he said a lot of things that were good and that were wise. And he even tried to stop the corruption, just like Mnangagwa is trying to stop the corruption now in the government. But anyway, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. That's why I'm saying, like, even if tomorrow they're saying they're going to send letters to us and deport us, I'll go. As long as I have my life, isn't it? As long as I have my life. So that's what I wanted to share from. This is the book if you want to get it. This John Maxwell, Wisdom from Women in the Bible. Giants of the faith speak into our lives. So often they concentrate on the men in the Bible, but this is a nice book for me because it's speaking to the women in the Bible. And that's why even I applied for that faith-based entrepreneurs, because it's something new, it's something good for me to be part of. And also the leaders are more accessible. They're not like Bono. Bono doesn't email me, he doesn't make time for me. So the leaders of this organization, it's been around a while. At least they stay in touch and they email me, and that's what I want. So, you know, that's why I'm saying I'm always open to trying something new, something different. And yeah, it's like Disneyland. If you're not open to new things and new opportunities, you'll just get left behind. So even if I have to start over and do something new, I'm always willing to do it, because that's how I get my opportunities and that's how I work, and that's what I do.